Okay, thank you so much for coming through this video, this group, my Qi practice group. We are a growing community of roughly about 500 people, really devoted into Qigong practice. So in this group, I give lots of tips about having a Qi practice, practicing your Qigong, and concepts that can help you to deepen your Qigong practice. Because one of the things I'm most passionate about is not teaching lots of forms and lots of movements, but crossing the inherent principles. And it's the principles where we get all the gold. You could practice one Qigong form for your entire life, and as long as you go deep into the movement and apply the principles of Chinese medicine, Taoism, and movement, internal shamanic movement, into that one Qigong form, you can dredge out as much gold as you could if you knew an entire system or several of them. So what I'm going to be discussing in this video is how you can begin applying the 5-element theory of Chinese medicine to your emotions, to the esoteric sense of your being, with an exoteric background. So joining the physical somatic movement art of Qigong with all its shamanic intentions behind it, with the esoteric mental, emotional, and spiritual aspects of our being, to infuse these together. And as you probably know, and even if you don't, right, that we need to really join the biology of our body with our thoughts. And when we can join the biology of our body and reprogram our thoughts and emotions, we can really manifest whatever we want to in this world. And this is a lot of what human beings are designed here to do. We're designed in the aspect of God, right? In our ability to create, to manifest. From what we can hold in our imagination in a thought form, we can make happen in reality. But what happens is emotions, fear, grief, sadness, anxiety, anger, all come into the picture, and they make us respond to things often in really unhelpful ways. So what we want to do is we want to be able to change this. And this is what Qigong has always been about. It's about regulating the physical body, regulating the mind, and allowing us to access our spirit. And so Qigong is backed with the principles of Chinese medicine. And the theory we're going to be using most in this course is the Zhang Fu theory. Now, Zhang Fu are our internal organs. And in Chinese medicine, the Chinese sages basically view the internal organs as being like organic batteries. And when these batteries are taxed, overused, you get tired, they can't produce the biological functions that they regulate and maintain in the body, and things begin to break down. Sounds much like a battery, right? And so these batteries allow us to get functions done and do things in our life. And each of these organs has a spirit or an aspect of mental, emotional, or spiritual connection. Okay, so not only is it regulating what we do physically with its battery power, but it's also regulating emotional, intellectual, mental, or spiritual aspects of our body. And these are all infused by our organs. Now, what we're really trying to do in Qigong is learn how to articulate the core of our body where all this battery power is stored. Now, I often say to people that in Qigong, it's the expansion, contractions, and rotations of our body that squeeze the energy out through our body and cause us to regulate our body. So I explained this as in we had a tube of toothpaste and we took the lid off and we throw the lid away and we get the toothpaste tube and we go and squeeze it or bend it and twist it, and toothpaste comes out the top, okay? Or it may even burst down the bottom and squeeze some out there, squeeze it really tight, okay? So what we're doing in our Qigong is we're learning to rotate, squeeze, expand, contract our core, which allows the Qi then to move out through nice, relaxed, soft arms. So what we're doing in Chinese medicine is using our Qigong practice to regulate, squeeze, soften, and relax our body so that we can transmit this battery power throughout our body in a nice, fluid state. But when this system breaks down, what happens is we form stagnations. And these stagnations can either be physical injuries, you can have a shoulder injury or a hip injury, lower back problem, neck tightness. But this also means that emotions are stored within these areas. And if you've ever read the book, The Body Keeps the Score, you'll understand that in trauma, the body actually holds emotions into its physical body. And so what we're going to be doing in my 10-week Shamanic Qigong program is using Qigong to begin deleting these physical adhesions or these blockages so that our internal energy that comes from our batteries, which holds both physical actions, emotional responses and emotions, mental thoughts and belief systems, as well as the spiritual connotations, we're aligning all this by deleting all this from our body and creating a nice clear conduit for the positive virtues of these organs to be produced in the world. So let's have a little look on the board here. I've drawn up here the 5 elements. Now I hope you can see them well there. It's hard to draw them too big. But at the top we have fire. Then we have the earth element. Then we have the metal element, the water element, and the wood element. And these produce a cycle. They have different connotations, different relationships in our body. So fire relates to the emperor, okay, or the royal energy, king or queen energy, and regulates our entire body. It's our thought process. It's our imagination. It's our, what the Chinese call Shen. Okay, this spirit, and the Chinese talk about each organ's having a different spirit, is the Shen. It is our mind and our connection to the greater consciousness or the super consciousness of reality. So that's our fire element. It is the emperor, as I said, and in a negative context, when our fire element is out of disorder, we lose the benevolence and compassion of being a benevolent dictator, leader, and we become a dictator or a tyrant, okay? So that's negative. So basically when people kind of become bits of an asshole, okay, and they're not necessarily projecting themselves out benevolently and compassionately into the world, their heart element can be out of regulation. But this can also mean, doesn't necessarily have to play on a tyrant, it can also mean that they're a bit weak and maybe they don't have the direction or the focus and they're wandering around in life not really having a purpose or direction, okay, which the leadership role of our being gives us. Next we have the earth. Now the earth gives us intention. When we intend to do something, but it's more than just intention, it's also our attention, where we're placing our attention within our intention. And so the earth element has a lot to do with digestion. It relates to the organs of the stomach and the spleen, and really has to do with digestion. But not only digestion of food, but digestion of thoughts and emotions. Now it shows up negatively as worry, blame, and even shame, okay? Where we go over our thoughts continually and we're overthinking. Now, if this plays out to you in life, maybe you can't get the things done you want because you're continually overthinking them. You're continually digesting those thoughts and emotions, and you actually can't take action because you're caught in that thought process. That is actually an earth element problem. And so if we do Qigongs related to the earth element and infuse that exercise with the correct affirmation or intention that we wish to see in our life, we literally transcribe or infuse new programming into our stomach and spleen, into our earth element. Okay, next is metal. Metal relates to the lung and large intestine. Now, the lung and large intestine have the Po. Now, the Po is said to be the corporeal soul. This is yin. This is a very physical and somatic element to our soul, and is actually said to go into the earth or stick around in a physical form after we die. Now, the Po is really the human spiritual aspect of pioneering or adventure or mastery kind of over the physical world. When it's unhealthy, it actually has the emotion of sadness and grief, okay? And so often, so crying when and being completely involved in that, and all that shortness of breath when we're worrying, and of being really sad and emotional is an aspect of the lungs. Now, the lungs also, in a negative sense, shop as judgment. And so if you're judging yourself or judging other people harshly, then this can be a problem with the metal element of the lungs and large intestine. Now, the lungs bring in clean chi into the body, and the large intestine, the colon's the end part of the large intestine excrete the impure out again. So you're taking impure and you're pushing out the impure, which allows you to see the best in people and get rid of the shit that they do, right? Or the shit of you. So you can keep yourself nice and pure. And so when we're keeping the lung element nice and clean, we have good discernment in what is right and wrong. Good discernment with the information that we take in, how we apply it out into the world, taking in the pure and getting rid of the impure. That's what the lungs do. And so if you have a problem in the lung area or the metal element, you might be caught up in sadness and grief and have that ability to process the lessons from life and use them and apply them properly while disposing of the gunk that comes with those lessons. Because usually in life, lessons come with some shit, right? And so if you can't get rid of that shit and take the pure from it, then you might be stuck in a process of grief. Okay, the water element, lungs, kidney and bladder. Okay, so the water element or the kidneys hold the ji, or what is said to be the willpower. Now, the willpower allows us to focus on our goals and our dreams and our ambition. Has a close relationship with the Shen, as in the Shen is the imagination, the leadership. And so the kidneys really fuel that leadership. They give you the willpower to carry out the things that you need to do, give you the fortitude of personality, the staying power to get things done, which develops into wisdom. And so wisdom is really seen as an aspect of the kidneys. Now, the negative emotion to do with the water element and the kidneys and the bladder are fear, lack of motivation, and poor willpower. So you're going to be very apathetic, very weak, not acting in the world, caught up in that fear of what if, and this depletes the body. Now, the kidneys are also seen as being the primary source of energy in the body. We're going to talk a heap about that in the Shamanic Qigong course, because tonifying and building our kidneys is a really important aspect to be able to carry out our dreams. And in today's society, with so much fear porn on the news, with so much to do, us all burning candles at both ends, our kidney energy gets totally taxed. And so part of Qigong is being able to bring our body back into a state where we can literally plug ourselves back in to the power point of life to drive our willpower. Okay, wood. Wood is liver and gallbladder. It is the ethereal soul, which is more yang and more ethereal, more esoteric in nature than the corporeal soul of the lungs. The wood element and the liver have to do with planning and carrying out that planning. It is about direction, taking action, being resolute about what we're doing. Okay? If those plans don't go according to our desire, we become angry and irritated. And so if you are finding you're getting very angry and irritated with yourself or other people, you probably have something wrong with your liver and gallbladder, or your hun. Sorry, I didn't tell you what it was called in Chinese. The hun is the ethereal soul. And so in a positive aspect, the wood element plays out as empathy. But if you aren't in a healthy state and your liver doesn't have the empathy for yourself and for other people, you are going to become very vindictive, potentially even aggressive and violent. And so the wood element can play out as anger, frustration, irritation, and having vindictive thoughts and even violent tendencies. And violent doesn't even mean physical. It could be manipulative and trying to do things to other people to get your way, forcing your way through. Okay, which we know will break down that whole nice, clear transition to allow your clean intent and your clean purpose and your clean compassionate ideas and love for the world to transmit out cleanly. And so what we find here in Chinese medicine is that, my black pen is in my pocket, this is a generating cycle. So the Chinese saw the 5 elements more as 5 phases or 5 transitional periods. And this could happen in a day, a week, a month, a year, and this is how the Chinese looked at it. So I've also heard from people like Jim Rohn and different manifesting channels, people who talk about manifesting as different seasons of our life, and you can definitely look at it like that. So we have fire creating earth, earth creating metal, metal creating water, water creating wood, and wood creating fire. So in the course, we're going to go into quite a bit of detail about this process and actually using and following this process with different Qigong. So by the end of this shamanic course, you're actually going to have a set of movements to take yourself around in this cycle. So each one is building upon the next. And within that, using affirmational processes and conceptual processes to infuse healing or corrective beliefs, affirmations, and processes into each of these organ processes. So they're literally infusing into the organs, infusing into the meridians, writing itself into your biology. And so by doing this, we get a complete somatic healing. It's not like just being random and just trying to throw processes in. We want to bring this all into balance. Now, whilst this is the generating cycle, and I've said we go around and each element creates the next one in the cycle. And so what we actually see here in the seasons is fire is summer. Summer goes into a period of late summer, which relates to the earth. So this is like here in Queensland, like end of January, February, where it's really humid. Okay, we call that late summer, that really humid aspect of summer. That late summer aspect goes into the metal, which is autumn, relates to the lungs. Autumn then goes into winter, which relates to the kidneys, because we want to hibernate and make sure that we stay nice and warm and retain our main battery, as opposed to really having to fight against nature to stay warm. And then our winter turns into spring, which is all about new life, development and growth, which then turns into summer. And we see this process going around and around. This is also relating to how our emotions worry. So if we don't have joy, we go into the emotion of worry. If we worry too much and that worry and blame and shame keeps playing out on us, we get really judgmental. Okay? When we start to get really judgmental, we get really apathetic. We're full of fear and we become weak. Where after we become really weak, we get really angry and frustrated and irritated at the world because we're not doing what we need to take action, which is the wood element. And then if we're not taking action, we're not allowing our emperor, our king energy, to fulfill its purpose in our lives. So we're not going to be able to manifest the things we want. So what we're looking at in this shamanic course is how to allow ourselves to regulate this whole system. Okay? And there's different cures, emotional cures, how we can apply different elements. So how we can use the water element to control the fire element. How we can use the fire element to control the metal element. How we can use the energy of the lungs to control the wood element of the liver and anger. And how we can use anger to control the emotion, or not anger, sorry. We can use the emotion of the ethereal soul, our planning and direction, to control our overthinking. And then how we can use our overthinking or our thought processes, our digestion of thoughts and emotions, and our intention to control fear. And so we can actually begin to use this 5-element process in a very shamanic sense, almost scientifically shamanic sense, to begin to understand and control our organs. So guys, if this has interested you and you need a way to begin to somatically reprogramming your physiology and joining your emotional with the physical, so that you can begin bossing your life and rectifying the emotional stagnations and blockages you have, and reprogramming and reinfusing the positive aspects of these elements and of these emotions into your physical body, so that your internal organs, your meridian system, your biology, your emotions, your mind, and your spirit have all aligned. And when these all align, you can really get your dreams. So guys, if this has interested you, you are interested in the program, you'll find a link below this video. We'll take you through to the website where you can book and buy tickets to purchase. This is all online. This is a 10-week course. What you're going to get in this course is a 1.5 hour to probably 2 hours, because I do like to talk, class each week on a Thursday night. In that class, we're going to talk all about, we're going to go through each week, building up each emotion and discussing it and giving a very specific practice, very specific Qigong practice, which relates through to each of the processes. And this is the amazing thing about Qigong, is each of these movements relates through to that organ process. So we do a movement which specifically relates to the kidneys. We do a movement which specifically activates the meridians and the organ of the heart. We do a Qigong which relates specifically through to the organ, meridian, and physiology of the earth element in our stomach and spleen. So as we're doing these affirmations and as we're going through the movements, we can literally be infusing those new programs into that biological pathway, directly into your physiology. So can you imagine how powerful that would be if you could literally not only think about it? This is one of the biggest problems with manifestation stuff. It's all just thought. I'm going to think this, I'm going to write it down, it's going to change. But then the body does something else. We need to program thoughts and emotions directly into the physical body. And this is what Qigong allows us to do, is actually work with these emotions directly into that physiological pathway on an internal energetic level. So guys, if this has interested you, again, find the link. I would love to have you come through. Oh, I didn't tell you what else was coming in the course, did I? Excuse me, getting way ahead of myself. What you'll also get in that class is those exercises, and we'll go through them in quite a lot of detail. But then instantly after that call is done, I'm going to load up a 20, I roughly say it'll be 15, 20 to 30 minute long practice that you can do every day. And so the idea of this course is that every day for 10 weeks, you're waking up and you're focusing on one of the Qigongs to do with the organs. So when we do the earth element, you're going to get a 20-minute video to follow along with the earth Qigong as you go through that affirmation process in your mind and infuse those new belief systems that you need to overcome overthinking, fear, and worry in your body. Going through the affirmations that you need to reprogram that aspect of your mind and body. That's just, it can be really life-changing when you can literally program that into your body. You probably understand the connotations, what that would mean to you. And if that's the case, you're going to love these little 20-minute flows. But what's going to happen is as we go through, it's going to build up. And so each week, you're also going to get a little flow at the end of that week, which may join fire and earth together. And then the week after, fire, earth, and metal. And then when you've done water, you'll get fire, earth, metal, and water. And so each week, building up a practice until we go fire, earth, metal, water, wood, and return back to fire, to have 6 little Qigong methods that you can do each day, morning or night, or morning and night, that is actually going to help you to begin infusing your body with the corrective emotional context and corrective physical context to unblock your physical body and your mental and emotional and spiritual bodies from the stagnations and blockages that inhibit the positive virtues of these organ structures and meridians manifesting in your life. So guys, if that interests you at all, please like this video, pop a comment below. It'll help the algorithm show you my stuff. If you would like to enroll in the course, one of the best ways is actually to directly send me a message and communicate with me. However, you will find a link below this video that takes you through to my website where you can buy tickets I also do a 19-week payment plan scheme. So if that interests you, you're more than welcome to contact me. Guys, I'm going to jump out of here now. Thank you so much for listening. In the next video, I'm just going to briefly discuss concept over here on the board about how this relates more through to archetypes and goes deeper into that shamanic process of how we can really apply this 5-element theory to manifesting our dreams. Okay, guys, thank you so much. I hope you're in good health.